Media companies have always looked to find new and innovative routes to reach new audiences with their content, hopefully long before their rivals realize it and do the same. From newspaper to radio to television to online and social media, new channels are created and media companies flock to them in their quest for eyeballs. And now, through software and digital know-how, audiences can receive daily personalized content via a thing called a bot that knows exactly what each user is looking for and when they want it delivered.
So the one thing we say about bots is that they are a branded experience in a platform consumers trust. So when it comes to news organizations, if they're pushing out headlines or news alerts or so on, consumers are spending more and more of their time within messenger apps, message apps, be that WhatsApp, be that Messenger, be that Line, be that WeChat. And having a presence in these message apps is actually super important to news organizations because, well, that's where their consumers are spending their time. And so I would say that actually, for keeping your readers regularly informed, using a messaging app bot is probably a good way to do that.
By April 2017, Facebook announced that it had reached 100,000 bots operating on its Messenger platform alone, and already major publishing companies, such as the BBC, Reuters, The Guardian, CNN, and now The Drum, are turning to bots to service their audience's personalized content needs.
So the use of bots is quite new for us at Dennis Publishing. It's we're quite at the experimental stage. We see it as a way of offering a much more personalised service for our readers, helping them filter the news and find out what's important for them. In terms of e-commerce as well, helping people choose and find the right products at the right prices for them. One of the things that we definitely see these days is that there's almost an overwhelming kind of torrent of news and information, and it can sometimes feel quite tiring to kind of have to pick through that yourself. And chatbots can help personalise and filter the news and can provide really useful information specific to audience segments and right down to individuals.
So we're seeing publishers take advantage of the messenger opportunity really well. One example is the Wall Street Journal. They launched their bot and now they have 130,000 daily active users. It's a very engaged audience. 70% of their monthly active users are also daily active users, and it's also a young audience. 40% of their audience is less than 24 years old and 50% is less than 35 years old. Another great example is Geo Pakistan. It's a citizen reporting bot, and they have 7x more citizen reporting than other apps. And what's also noteworthy is that 17% of their reports are done by women versus 1% in other apps.
An example that's been well kind of known about for a while is sport. So if you don't want to know all of the football news, you just want to follow the news updates from your club, chatbots can really help provide a personalised service for users.
Ultimately, this bot is just going to go and get you a known piece of information that it already knows. And so when we talk about bots particularly, we're talking about them, can you tell me the weather? Can you tell me when my next train is? It's pieces of information. And more, and this we've seen definitely in WeChat and in Line, with bots, it's more button pushing. So less free text entry, more, here are 3 options, consumer, choose the 3 options, and then guiding them through it. Ostensibly, you're dealing with what is a very cleverly written choose-your-own-adventure story.
But what is the business value for publishers when it comes to using bots?
The business value of bots for publishers is personalization at scale. Messaging is eating the world. There are 1.2 billion people on Messenger today, and next year 2 billion people are estimated to be messaging across all apps globally. That's a massive opportunity for publishers, even more so on mobile. If you look at the app consolidation phenomenon, the average user spends 90% plus of his or her time on 5 apps, likely to be messaging apps. So for publishers, this is the opportunity to reach a massive audience at scale.
One of the ways that we would see bots adding value to our content proposition, in particular around e-commerce, for example, would be that filtering aspect. So if we think about a day like Black Friday, when it's 24 hours of kind of non-stop deals and offers, that can actually be a great thing, but it can also be quite overwhelming. So if I just want to buy a television and you just want to buy a coffee machine, we've both got the same experiences if we don't have filters. And one of the ways that we see that filters and bots can help personalise that experience and help bring us just the products we're interested in, and perhaps send us notifications and alerts when there's a particular deal on, or when an offer falls into the price range that we've specified. That could be really useful service for end users.
So when you're onboarding a user, you can ask his or her interests, what kind of news they're interested in, when they would want to get it, and then you can ping them at the right time with the right content. And because it's a persistent thread, they can always scroll back up to find old news that they were interested in but didn't have time to read at the time. So bots can drive business value for publishers in the way that they can increase engagement and retention of the audience because of the personalized nature at scale that they present.
Publishers really need to have a think about how they're going to use bots. I don't think they're right for every application, and I think what we've seen in the past with digital publishing is often publishers kind of rush in early kind of to get on a bandwagon without having really figured out a kind of clear strategy for audience engagement or for the business need. So for example, take Buy a Car, which is our e-commerce platform that allows customers to easily buy a car online. Those customers are after a very specific car, specific make, model, colour, price range. A bot can certainly help provide notifications when a car that fits their criteria comes on the market. So that's absolutely a great example where we could see that a bot could add value commercially and help improve the user experience as well.
And where is this trend likely to lead? Will it help journalists and their readers at all during a period when media companies are being squeezed harder and harder?
Publishers really have to be thoughtful about the point of any additional layer of technology that they put into their propositions, and they have to really think about what's the value add for the customer. Is it to improve reach? Is it to increase engagement? Is it to facilitate a transaction? Is it to build a lead gen business or to improve their database? And I think once they're really clear about the answers to those questions, they should deploy kind of accordingly to that specific strategy, because I think perhaps where we've gone wrong in the past, of course with the benefit of hindsight, is that we've kind of just published for volume. So we've gone after ever increasing audience sizes without really understanding the value of those eyeballs. And I think now we need to really be much more careful about what it is, what's the value proposition for the content that we're creating.
Bots are the next natural evolution in that digital roadmap. And so they exist as part of that online ecosystem, because as consumers moved online, then to mobile, then into social platforms, and now into message apps, bots are the next natural evolution of that.